They're nice. They're nice.
Oh man, I saw this guy. Oh, I should. No, I did save it on Instagram. I will forward it. I'll wait till after. I will forward this to you guys. It's a relatively large man in a Borat,
right,
orangish, yellowish.
Careful, we are live on YouTube before we hit the intro.
It's a monokini. I'm just saying, but like the green thing that he wore. I'm gonna send it to you guys when we're done.
The mankini.
The mankini, yes.
A Speedo.
And oh wow, he apparently walks around somewhere in London. He walks around in this thing, and it's.
What was he at Long Beach?
No.
Oh, it's just online where you saw it.
I saw it on. Oh yeah, no, I didn't see it in person.
That's what I was thinking too, actually. I was thinking Long Beach.
No, okay, hold on, damn it. Let me.
So yeah, about a minute or two before we hit the intro. So we got some.
Okay, I'll find it then.
Okay. And you guys remember back in the day when it was last year, 2 years ago, where there was a colored dress? Oh, it was back when we were doing our midday show on Fox Sports, where there was a color of a dress, and some people saw one color.
Oh,
yeah. She just said green. That mankini is yellow to me.
The Borat's wearing?
Yeah.
I thought it was green.
I think it's green.
It's green.
See, I think it's yellow.
Oh, come on.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong mankini. Maybe I'm not looking at the right one. Right?
It's green.
Yeah?
Yes, it's green.
All right.
Okay,
Richie, you close?
It says there is 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in this render.
Okay, save.
Oh,
Hold on.
nice.
I got to get this mankini out.
All right. So we're a little behind the scenes, Freak Nation, before we actually cut the intro for Horsepower Hump Day. We got to make it official, of course, with that intro. We'll cut the intro here in a couple of minutes, and then we'll get into Tony Stewart, Jack Roush, Denny Hamlin. And
this is cool because he can just allow people to come on in,
Yeah.
Just allow people to join, and we can just yip yap before we actually get to the actual content of the show.
Had someone say that I'm holding the mic like I am Freddie Mercury at times, where I got to kind of go up here like this. Right?
Well, give us a little performance right now.
It's not happening, man. Oh, you can find some performances of mine somewhere online, I'm sure.
You can even be like a Steven Tyler while you're holding that. Throw like a scarf around there.
Bandana? Yeah.
He's got a lot of rags on his freaking mic stand.
Yeah.
What do they represent? Or do they represent something?
I'm not sure, Crash. I know a lot of things about bands, but I don't know what freaking Steven Tyler's rags represent.
I thought you would know, Mr. Historian.
There
Mr.
probably is.
Historian.
There probably is.
I have an idea.
Yeah. Well, we all do. But I got to be careful what I'm going to say and when I'm going to say it.
I gotcha.
All right.
Love Rags? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, gosh. It's the name of a band, Love Rags. I was DJing at a place called Tracks when I was on air in Dallas at 23 years old.
Oh, boy.
And in walks Brad Whitford, guitar player with Aerosmith. And that's the moment he and I became friends because I see him walk in. And the dance floor was pretty packed. And I said, listen, we got a freaking Aerosmith member here and here. So I put freaking Walk This Way on. People exited a little bit. And I looked around going, what the hell? And then they went, okay. And then we came back on the dance. You guys even know what dance floors are?
Of course.
They're still dancing.
Do you freaking kids still dance?
No.
Dancing's a loose term.
Guess what is coming? This is no joke. I've seen this on Instagram, and then I finally got somebody sent me a notification just last night that it's coming to Phoenix. Let's see if I can get the name right. It's basically a club, a dance club,
right,
for women over 30 because adults need to do work the next day. So it's a club that starts at 5 or 6 o'clock and closes at 10.
That'll last long, yeah. See some longevity in that.
Stop it. I think it's a great idea. Because then you can get home and get to bed and sleep off your drinky. Hold on.
It's a travel club?
Allegedly.
We get to pick up some hot ladies over 30?
Here it is. Bed by 10 p.m. It's the name of the club. Comes to Phoenix.
Wow.
Oh, that sounds like my worst nightmare.
Bed by 10 p.m. So it is a unique 30-plus daytime clubbing experience because adults have stuff to do tomorrow. Expect all your favorite bangers, DJs, performers, and more, but during the day. Buy your tickets now. Bangers.
Cole's not eligible. Cole's not old enough yet.
Darn.
Something about walking
no sugar mamas
in a club when it's still light outside, right? That's just
odd. I don't know about that.
I don't know. Give me an excuse for this. I'm in.
We're almost done.
It was always brutal when I'd stay through the clubs when they would start to close the doors. They turn the lights on, and you go, "Oh,
Yeah,
God,
right.
man, there's some ugly people in here." It's one of the ones I'm talking to. Like, oh, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
dang.
ooh,
Just
man, gotta
moonwalk
go.
away.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, my name is Cole Cusimano, man. Dang, I'm with the Michi's Pizza. Come on over and see me, baby.
That's right. I gotta say, when you said Brad Whitford, I thought you were gonna say like Bradley Whitford, the actor, and I was like, no way you met him. You know who that is?
Tell me.
Bradley Whitford.
Probably do, but might not know.
He's from Billy Madison. He was in Get Out, Cabin in the Woods, probably a bunch of other stuff too.
West
That's
Wing.
what I know him from. West Wing. He's a really good actor.
Hold on, I'll check it out.
So there's a Brad Whitford and a Bradley Whitford. Both
Yeah.
are famous.
Yeah.
One's a musician, one's an actor. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know?
Yeah. And what What'd you say? West Wing, right?
I know him from Billy Madison,
Yeah.
but yeah.
All right, we're loaded, baby. We can play this damn open and get this stinking so shorted now. Oh God, I can't talk today.
Got
Oh
it.
my God.
All right, roll that intro,
Heard.
will you?
Jesus Christ.
Live from the Lucas Oil Studios, it's Horsepower Hump Day because every NASCAR fan needs a push of the old bumper to get them over that hump.
Stop. Oh, my God.
Here's Kenny, Crash, Richie, and Cole. Let's get humping, boys.
There we go. It's the official intro. Now we are again live on YouTube at Official Speed Freaks. Be sure to subscribe, like this video. Thank you guys for being a part of this thing. Crash Gladys, Cole Cusimano, Richard C. Suave. We're all here. This is the midweek edition. We call it Speed Freaks Hump Day with Horsepower every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern here in the Freak Nation. Again, be sure you subscribe and like this video because you'll get notifications when we do this thing. Coming up in the show, Tony Stewart gets emotional with the Freaks. Tony Stewart with his first NHRA Top Fuel win. He'll be joining us sometime in the hour. Jack Roush, 20 years ago. He is a favorite of the Freak Nation. He and I hit it off a long time ago where we're both crap starters. And if you go back and look at the history of Jack Roush inside NASCAR, Jack Roush, frankly, didn't play by the rules with NASCAR. And kind of like we just don't play by the rules in general with Speed Freaks. So Jack Roush, a freaking flashback as we celebrate 25 years, will be joining us here in the Freak Nation. But first thing I want to get off my chest is Denny Hamlin decided to once again do it again and expose NASCAR. Richard C. Suave.
Yes, real quick, before we get to that, we do have some breaking news
Let's
to kick off the show. Are you ready? This
Yeah.
is going to be news
so
to both of
pumped.
these two because I know they're super excited for this. I certainly am not. I know Cole is super excited. Netflix says that the second season of the Full Speed NASCAR docuseries will premiere on May 7th.
Only took 2 years.
For the second season.
About damn time.
That's interesting you say that. I saw a couple of conversations on X this morning about that specifically. I wonder if now they had a little inside info that it was going to be dropped today, but wow. Yeah, about time. Huh?
What am I missing here? Where's the sense of urgency with this?
I have no idea.
There is no urgency
is
now,
no-
apparently. You had this great docuseries come out at the end of the 2023 season, right?
Yeah.
And you wait basically 2 years for the second season to come out. How do you get any momentum, any traction, any, I guess, outside interest in regard to NASCAR when you have that much of a gap in between? So I'm pumped up. Don't get me wrong, but like social emergency.
Cole, do you want me to? Can I confess something to you?
Yeah.
I never watched the first season and I don't care.
Damn.
Stand in line, Richard.
Little cameo in the last episode. Just saying.
No way.
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
We are finding that. That needs to become a part of our intro. Yeah.
You know, we're taking a detour at kicking off the show.
But it's because of breaking news.
And maybe it's because of Cole's age. And that's not a knock, Cole. That's not a knock. Because I know what happened in these series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to get behind the scenes. I hear more from people that aren't fans of motorsports about Drive to Survive, Speed, and all these other shows. Where was IndyCars is on CW, whatever the hell they call it, 6,000 days to the 500.
Yeah, they're moving that to Fox Nation this year.
Yeah.
Oh, and guess what? Speaking of having a delay and also with bad TV ratings, that hasn't been out yet this year either. Should have been by now.
I don't need to see it again, man. It's like recording a freaking basketball or NFL game and then going back and watching it the next. It is.
You are wrong, old man. Because it is behind the scenes. It is stuff that we preach that we want these series to be showing. It's stuff that you don't get to see in the races. It's stuff you don't get to read on X or on Instagram. It's different stuff, and that's why our friends are all telling us, oh my gosh, I love so-and-so. I love Bubba. I love Tyler. I love, whoever they're attracted to, because they're like, oh, that person is just like me.
I'm talking about me, Crasher. I'm talking about me. That's why
I don't know everything about every driver.
I didn't say, I don't have an interest in it. I'd rather watch behind the scenes of Motorhead or Judas Priest or behind the scenes of freaking Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin.
I know enough about these drivers and teams that really, and I get it, Crash.
And this isn't for you.
Right.
And that's okay.
Well, you just said it was.
Yeah.
And you insinuated it was for Crash and me. Like, oh, they're excited.
I would
It was a
argue,
He was
joke.
being facetious.
I
It's a
think
joke.
it
Jesus.
could be for you, because if you were to watch Full Speed, you would it humanizes the drivers, gives them more a personality, a character, and then maybe you wouldn't call William Byron back there William Boring, because it goes deep into like his personal life and whatnot. So I think it's great for the sport. That's why you see so many people coming into F1 and being fans of that now. So
Exactly.
I like it.
It's necessary. It's a necessary evil, I guess, for you, Kenny, but it's necessary.
Not for me.
For new people.
I don't need to watch it.
Okay, fine. But
There's so much shit on freaking Netflix that I haven't watched, and I've got logged all these documentaries that I want to watch, all these documentaries on musicians that I haven't seen. Yeah.
okay, that's fine. There's plenty of people out there that would say, I don't want to see a behind the scenes of Judas Priest, or I don't want to. So
What
it
is
is
this
to
argument
each,
about?
It's not an argument. It's to each their own.
Yes.
But I really did
Spot
think
on.
that you would want to see it. I really did think you'd want to see a behind the scenes motorsports anything.
It's just like on my off weekends, I'm not going to a goddamn racetrack.
Got it.
I'm going
Okay.
to the beach.
Okay.
I'm going to the mountains. I'm taking my time away from what the F I do 7 days a week. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going to go wear a mankini in freaking Sao Paulo.
God, please no.
content.
All right.
No, well, yeah, true.
Oh, that was great breaking news that we just spent about 7 minutes on, Richard.
Hey, the
C.
people like this, man.
I get
If you follow the people on the Reddit and the internet
Yep.
and the Twitters and the X's or whatever you call them nowadays, the people wanted. They were like, "Where is this?
Yep.
I want to see this." The fans like it. It was very popular when it first came out, even though I didn't watch it. And so it's a good thing for the sport. So I thought it was great to kick off the show with that breaking news. We don't usually get breaking news on Wednesdays, but there you go. There's your breaking news, May 7th. Netflix, check it out.
So Denny Hamlin exposes NASCAR in a way that, again, only Denny Hamlin can. The balls that Denny Hamlin has to step out in all this and to criticize the NASCAR brass is something that we don't see often in other sports. As far as I know, there's not an NFL podcaster, current player, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, that goes out and hammers their league like Denny Hamlin does. Granted, Denny Hamlin's part of a lawsuit, him and Michael Jordan and Front Row Motorsports. Maybe it's part of their strategy.
Actually, being a part of a lawsuit, though, you would think that his lawyers would be telling him, not too much. So it's actually more shocking, in my opinion, that being one of the guys suing NASCAR, that he's the most vocal guy against NASCAR right now. To me, that's kind of shocking.
All right, Richard, let's play what Denny Hamlin had to say recently with Dirty Mo Media and Actions Detrimental.
This is the car we built. This is what ownership of NASCAR wanted. They wanted to build a sports car, and we're going to race this sports car on all these different tracks, and it just doesn't race well. I mean, I think that there are fixes that we can do to it, but I'm not in charge. I'm part of NASCAR meetings. There's nothing on the horizon. There's been no discussion to fixing things that really need to be addressed on it. You get a front end that's not on the ground. It's in the air because we have to feed the underbody of the car. As soon as we get behind somebody, that thing just lifts right on up. You got no front downforce. It plows. We got to get more overbody, less underbody. That's what the Xfinity car has. The advantages of the Xfinity car is that the second place guy can manipulate the leader. In Cup cars, you cannot. In Xfinity, you just drive up right to their bumper, and it takes their rear downforce away. They get wiggle, waggle, up the racetrack they go. Then you got passing. This is the car we
I
built.
know you guys want
This
to
is what ownership of NASCAR.
stop. I know you guys want to get into it immediately, but real quick, that reminds me of the conversation that we had last weekend with Austin Cindric, talking about you put all the Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series cars. It's a different series. Playing off what Denny Hamlin said. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, when he said that there was nothing on the horizon, that was the key, because we're gonna play a clip from Elton Sawyer here in a minute. That was literally just word salad, and I don't know why we're playing it other than to just make fun of him, because when you say there's nothing on the horizon, that just tells me that NASCAR doesn't care about the product, and I don't think they do, to be honest. Right? Their media rights deal. They just made, I don't know, I forget how much off the top of my head, but they probably just made billions of dollars off their TV deal, right? Their ratings are fairly good, if not better than expected this year. 2.5 million people tuning in on a regular basis other than this past weekend, but 2.5 million people tuning in on cable to watch these races, which are less than stellar. And so they don't really have any animus, I guess, to really make changes if people are still watching the TV product and if people are still showing up on the racetrack at the racetrack. And this is something that Dale Jr. brought up on his show. Like, if you're fans, the only thing you can do to force change is stop consuming content, right?
Force change.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm,
And baseball kind of did this in a way, because they saw their ratings going down. And because the games were taking way too long, people weren't tuning in to watch the World Series. People weren't tuning in to watch these games anymore. And they made a change. And they said, listen, we need to stop these games from going 4 hours long. Now those games are 2.5 hours. And baseball's way better off for it, because the fans were sick of the product. And that's what NASCAR needs to do. That's what NASCAR needs to understand. If you're a fan watching this, just stop watching. Stop watching. Stop buying merchandise. And maybe NASCAR will finally get the hint that they need to change things.
So regardless of how many drivers spew their opinions, like Denny Hamlin just did, you don't think that's going to change anything?
I think they'll make tweaks like they have in the past, right? Where they brought in some of these option tires, and they're giving the illusion of change, right? Remember when we used to make fun of Cliff Kingsbury, the former Arizona Cardinals head coach, because he would say illusion of complexity, and it sounded really good, right? It sounded really good, and it was a buzzword, but it really meant nothing. That's what NASCAR is trying to do. Like, they're putting out in the world an illusion of change to try and keep, like, oh, we're trying. Here's a little fish food. There's some fish food in your fish tank. There you go. We're trying this, and they're really not.
Mm-hmm. I mean, those are all great points. I think that the big thing there is that, like, sports need to be evolutionary. That's what you saw with MLB. NBA tried doing that with the play-in and all that stuff. But, like, I on Denny Hamlin for a second, I love that he has now become like the voice of the fans and the voice of the drivers. And like you say, Kenny, you don't see many active players, if any, speaking out against the league or the sport itself. So I really admire that. I think the problem with this car is there's too much damn downforce. There's not enough horsepower. Everyone keeps saying it. The drivers, the fans, everybody. And at this point, I personally have been to countless tests at Phoenix for this exact problem since 2022. Whether it be changing tires, changing the diffuser, the underbody, they try to make all these minimal changes and nothing is working. So people have been campaigning for more horsepower in the garage, the fan base, for all these years now. Why not just do it? They keep saying it's not going to be a cost, an expensive fix. If it doesn't work, so be it. But at least try something, because that's why you're seeing these horrible products on the short tracks and even the super speedways, because there's too much downforce and these cars do not turn well when they're going slow. They don't perform well when they're going slow. And that's why you see even on the drafting tracks, you can't form these runs when you pull out of line because there's too much drag. So give them more horsepower, see how it goes.
Did you guys see Carson Hocevar's tweet?
I did. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if you have it up in front of you, but I do.
Yeah. Go ahead and read it. It was something in the vicinity of, hey, I haven't seen this be mentioned before, but here's another option. Why don't we make the tires harder? Because the softer the tires are, the better grip we have. And then we stick to the track, and there's just the dirty air is bad. We just can't pass. So yeah, read what Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, you paraphrased it really well. It was a long tweet from Carson Hocevar, but he said, can we just make these tires really hard? That way they have no grip and are heat sensitive rather than tire wear. Every time we go softer, cars are going to get better and better at being able to manage the wear. And because they're softer, we go faster. And if it doesn't wear, we end up going faster. Center corner speeds are faster and the dirty air is worse. Richmond, we lack grip overall and we can move around, but on the red tires. We had so much grip. We had to be on the bottom. If we can't get the soft tires to wear constantly because of weather, rubber, car development, can we just slow down, make them really hard, but lack grip from lap 1, and we can slide around. So there you go. So there's options out there. Again, NASCAR just doesn't care enough to make any of these changes.
And even though he was saying slow down, which is contrary to what you were saying, Cole, more horsepower to speed up. Again, it's kind of dependent on the track and how the corners handle. It's just bottom line, making it more difficult to drive, whether that is an increase in horsepower or a much more slippery drive, which puts it back into the driver's hands, which we've said on this show over and over.
Well, the way the season is setting up for NASCAR, by the way, it's Horsepower Hump Day, Freak Nation. Tony Stewart coming up. Jack Roush, a salute to the man. His birthday is this weekend. He turns, holy smokes, do the math, Kenny, I believe 83 on Saturday. So we've got a freaking flashback 20 years ago with yours truly and Jack Roush, Cat in the Hat. The schedule for NASCAR right now sets up nicely for NASCAR. You're off this weekend, at least the Cup Series is. You've got Xfinity and the Truck Series at the Rock. But then the next weekend, you've got Talladega. And we can forget all about those 3 races prior that were shitbox races, all right? But then we've got Texas, which could present another problem for NASCAR. Get us back on the, come on, man, let's do something about the downforce of these cars.
Or would it? Because it's a mile and a half,
I was
right?
going to say, the only good products with this car has been the mile and a half track. So it could be a great race, you know?
Yeah, could be. So my point is, if we had 5 or 6 of these S-Box races in a row, then maybe this momentum would build and NASCAR would change their mind on some of these issues.
I really do. I do think when they saw those stands at Bristol, that may have been a little bit of a alarm for them.
Yeah.
Right. When you have, I mean, it looked like I saw some clips of the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins are in Miami. They're playing the Diamondbacks this weekend.
Oh, I saw this too. That was bad.
And there were like 7,000 people that showed up. Cincinnati's another one where Major League Baseball attendance is just like in the tank for a couple of these teams around the league. And I'm sure they're going like
Minnesota was one of them.
Minnesota. Yeah. What are we doing? And Dale Jr. brought this up on his show too. He was like, the Smith family saw that. And they were like, oh, we should probably do something because that's their bottom line.
That's true.
Right. And so, Kenny, I think you mentioned it maybe last week about the Smith family coming in and being kind of the people to come in and change things a little bit and put pressure on the sport to make change. And I wonder if that's the case here, where the Smith family is a pretty big stakeholder at a lot of these tracks. Like, are they
including
the ones,
Bristol?
Yeah. Are they the ones that come in and say like, listen, this is crap. We can't have this. We can't have 10,000 people showing up at our races to make money.
When they had stands on the backside of Texas Motor Speedway back in the heyday, those son of a bitches were filled up. But once the fans started to vacate the premises because of the races, the Smith family, SMI, said, oh, we're going to take those stands away and not make it look so sparse and put some freaking RVs up there.
And then add Big Hoss.
Yep, add Big Hoss, right? So the changes, you're right. I mean, that was a freaking eyesore. It was as if someone inside the NASCAR walls was on a 2-way with the producer of Fox going, bro, can we stop it with that G-damn wide shot?
Stop exposing us. Well, you can get some insight. You might be in Texas.
I plan on being in
weeks.
Texas.
Yeah.
And I just got a request for a meeting with Texas Motor Speedway come across my email that man, I love Texas Motor Speedway. Can't wait to get there.
Actually, you think somebody is watching you right now?
It's going to be a huge weekend. Think about this. I've got High Limit Racing, and it wasn't regarding this show right now. Trust me.
I never know anything anymore.
It's High Limit Racing on Thursday night. I've got the truck race Friday. I've got Xfinity at 1:00 Central Time at TMS. Then I've got High Limit Racing again Saturday night, where Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson is going to be running in these. And then I got the Cup race on Sunday. That's a crap ton of freaking racing.
That's a lot.
4 days in a row.
Sounds like a good time.
Do you need an assistant?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm trying, guys.
Yeah, I really don't. And our guys at Media Center there at Texas Motor Speedway, David Hart, Kitten Nelson, they put us. It's like the Freak Suite.
It is. Yeah.
It's just it's a separate room for the freaks that they give us because they know we're going to go in there and start a bunch of shit. But
we've had it there for the last 10 years, maybe. Yeah, it's a good room.
Tony Stewart coming up, Jack Roush coming up here in the Freak Nation. Playing off of what you said, Crash, or we're talking about Rockingham this weekend with Xfinity and the Truck Series.
Yeah.
News came out this week that Katherine Legge,
Mhm.
again, Katherine Legge is synonymous with open wheel IndyCar racing. And you see the headline, Katherine Legge, you think, okay, here comes the announcement with her sponsor, Elf, talking about she's got a car together for the Indy 500. No.
Nope.
No.
Which
Katherine,
we knew was in the works. That the Indy 500, the 109th running of the Indy 500, this coming up May 2025, it was in the works. Finding the right team was a little proving to be difficult, but it was still in the works until last week when the bomb was dropped.
And I brought this up somewhat facetiously in our pre-show meeting, but now that we've had a chance to think about it, when you saw the ratings come out with Long Beach Grand Prix, where they're what,
550,000,
okay,
give or take.
it was up from last year, which was on USA Network. I get it, but it still didn't. It didn't even sniff NASCAR. It almost F1 almost tripled their ratings compared to the IndyCar race. The NHRA race was just below IndyCar, and NHRA was taped.
Yeah.
You know who freaking won? Tony Stewart joining us here momentarily.
But you still had 400,000 people tune in.
I am curious if Elf said, screw this, man. I am not going to put I'm not going to put millions of dollars towards one race with the Indy 500. I'm going to take some of these scoots and put it in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series and get more bang for my buck with millions of people versus one race with the Indy 500. Cole, you have here the Cup races. She's going to be in Mexico, Chicago, Sonoma, Watkins Glen. We know why she's there because she's a hell of a road racer.
Road course,
Then, of course, Richmond, the Xfinity Series, Rockingham, Talladega. Holy smokes, that's going to be a wake-up call for her. Rockingham, Talladega, Texas, Charlotte, Nashville.
Talladega's not going to be the wake-up call. Is that what you're saying? No. She's good at fast, all-out ovals. Rockingham's going to be a bigger wake-up call than Talladega for her.
Okay, this wasn't the point of my argument.
Okay.
Xfinity Series, Rockingham, Talladega, Texas, Charlotte, Nashville, Atlanta, and Indy. Mm-hmm. And then we got into, which I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. Maybe that's why they said, screw the Indy 500. We're going to get some bang for our buck with Xfinity and Cup cars.
Right.
And then the other thought was with her race in Phoenix and spun and affected Daniel Suarez finish. She got freaking hammered for running that Cup car out of nowhere. 2 weeks ahead of that race, she got
she got it was just a couple of weeks ahead of time. And people were telling her, massively experienced drivers and executives in NASCAR were telling her, you'd rather do Phoenix than Martinsville. So let's get you into Phoenix. It'll be a little bit easier. Well, okay. So it didn't turn out at all what anybody had expected, but she's so talented. She's so much better than what that all came about to be. So yeah, let's give it another go.
But at the same time, hold on a second. We can dig rabbit holes here. Dario Franchitti, Juan Pablo Montoya, championship drivers, they go into the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and they suck hind boob. So
way different.
My point is this, Cole Cusimano. Have you guys seen any hammering of her yet now that she's announced that she's going to be running a number of races in the Xfinity Series or Cup Series? Because she got hammered. There was a dividing line. It's like, awesome of her to do this. And then there were those naysayers saying, what is she doing taking up space on the track?
Right. No, I have not seen any like blowback from that, honestly. And I think because we know how talented of a driver she is. She's a multi-race IMSA winner. She's competed in countless Indy 500s. But like you look at her Cup slate coming up, it's 4 road course or street courses, which that's her bread and butter, obviously. And then there's Richmond, a track similar to Phoenix. So I feel like on the road course, street courses, she's not going to be like in the way as much. She'd probably be more competitive, like an SVG type, someone who specializes in those disciplines. And then for the Xfinity Series, like these are just different disciplines that you think she could hone her skills on.
Right.
Rockingham, Talladega, Texas, Charlotte, Nashville, Atlanta, Indy, like those are all different disciplines that she can kind of hone her skills on for NASCAR. And I think that they acknowledge the fact that she is a very competitive, very successful racer, just a matter of not impacting those Cup races so much as the Xfinity ones.
And that's fair. I'm excited to see her do some of these other disciplines in the
too.
Cup car.
Big time.
For sure.
Yeah, getting her on a road course.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
3 road courses in the Cup Series.
A straight circuit and 2 road courses.
Chicago,
Sonoma, Watkins Glen,
Watkins
Mexico.
Glen. She knows Watkins Glen very well,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I guess the hook here for me was, wow, we all expected the announcement to come out here fairly soon about her Indy 500 ride, and then Crasher, holy shit! Now we've got what? How many cars on bump day scheduled?
34.
And
to
how many
fill.
cars actually run on the Indy 500?
33.
Oh.
So only one car is going to be bumped out. I mean, granted, if Katherine Legge had made the deal work with Dale Coyne or whoever, it still would have only been 35. But I'd rather have the drama of 2 people not making it than 1.
Yeah.
When do you stop calling it bump day?
Oh, there have been times there's been nobody bumped out.
Yeah.
There have been times there have been just 33 drivers.
Can we just say qualifying?
Yeah.
Right?
I like saying bump day. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Bump
Because if
day.
you say oh, I'm going to watch qualifying. Boring. I'm going to watch bump day. That sounds
But
cool.
now, the way things have been the last couple of years, now bump day and pole day are the same day. So now what do you call it? Do you prefer to call it pole day or bump day?
Ooh, that's a good question.
At this rate, poll day. I mean,
Right.
Hey, Jamie in our chat here. Shout out Jamie. Bump day should be on hump day.
Hey,
Hey, there you go.
agreed.
Hump day, bump day. Bump day, hump day.
So then that would bring it to what, 4 or 5 days before the Indy 500? So you get your last practice sessions in, your 2 days before carb day, the last practice. I kind of like this idea. It's something different. It's thinking outside the box. It rhymes.
Hey, before we get to Tony Stewart, who again has won in everything he's driven, got this close to winning the Daytona 24, but again, Tony Stewart coming up here momentarily. Crasher, I want to give you a couple of minutes because you've been asked to join other podcasts, and we see your statements on Twitter regarding what's transpired so fresh into the IndyCar season. The ratings at Long Beach. I mean, you were there for the party. There were, think about this, according to the numbers at Long Beach, there was what, almost half the people in attendance of the ratings for the IndyCar race,
Oh, wow.
right?
Well, that is over 3 days. If you're
Okay.
talking 200,000 people, that is over 3 days. But still, it was packed on Sunday. All grandstand seats were sold. Oh, assigned seats were sold out. You could still walk up for general admission, but yeah, it was a massive crowd. It was a big party. Foreigner on Saturday night fulfilled the old people's dreams.
Mm.
I didn't see Foreigner, but for people that saw it and the pictures that I saw afterwards, it was packed too. So yeah, it was an overall very successful weekend in person.
Well, again, that's about 30 seconds of the minute of 2 minutes I gave
But
you.
what do you want? though?
I wanted you to share with the Freak Nation on Hump Day your take on what IndyCar needs to do.
Oh, okay.
Again, you need more than 2 minutes. We could go back as
Yeah.
far as when the split happened and all these old white dudes running the series, but
Still a lot
There-
of old white
but-
dudes.
give us 60 seconds of what IndyCar in your eyes should do.
Well, the bottom line is, and this is no new news to anybody unless you're new and watching me right now. The bottom line is this is a series with epic drama. You've got tire strategies, you've got pit strategies, you've got fuel strategies, you've got downforce and different setups in these cars. Yeah, you could call them spec cars, but you've got engineers working their ass off in order to make a different product from team to team out there in IndyCar. And then you go to the drivers. So many different drivers with different disciplines that they're coming into this series of IndyCar on streets, on road courses, on short ovals, on super speedways. It's the most diverse form of motorsports in existence right now, with personalities that could just blow up a room as soon as they walk in. So that, though, is not translating to TV. Is it in person? St. Pete had a great crowd. Yes. Thermal, we won't go there because they only allowed 5,000 people there. Let's just not even go there. Long Beach, record-breaking crowd in the modern era, going back to those record-breaking crowds from the 80s and 90s. So people are showing up in person. Why? I see them line up for autograph sessions, so they do want to see drivers. They also want the experience on site. So again, the experience, the stories, that needs to be told better in between races. We're not getting that. Like I said yesterday on another show, Roger, hi, you bought this series and I haven't seen marketing from you and your guys up top. You need to allow your people to tell stories. Tell what makes Scott Dixon bleed. Why is Scott McLaughlin so freaking badass? Will Power and his relationship with Flavor Flav. We need more of that. We saw Flavor Flav all over the Olympics. Why don't we see him all over IndyCar races? We need to know what makes these people tick when they wake up. The Fox commercials started to do that. Even some of it might have been tongue in cheek, but more of that, please. You've got 3 weeks off in between races. That's storytelling time. It's not happening. Roger, make it happen. Your people want it to happen. It needs to be directed from you. S rolls downhill. That's you. You and Mark make these stories happen. We got a couple more weeks before the Indy 500. Guess what? Barber's in a couple of weeks. Let's play stories. Let's story time with Crash Gladys. Story time with Will Buxton. Will Buxton throws things out on Twitter. And I'm not saying they're falling flat, but some of his ideas that he puts out there are pretty spectacular. Give him a freaking platform as well. Bring him and Townsend and James in for something different. Midweek Motorsports. There's so much out there. These are just badass guys driving rockets that happen to stick to asphalt and concrete. Tell those stories.
Freak Nation, a dude who's won an IndyCar, Tony Stewart, got his first win in Top Fuel class. He won a championship in the Top Alcohol class, the Lucas Oil NHRA Series. Dude's won in World of Outlaws, karting, IROC, USAC, of course, in NASCAR with his championships. But now it's that win with his Top Fuel rail, driving for Tony Stewart Nitro.
Over 330 miles an hour. He's got a win in that.
We've got about 40 minutes with Tony Stewart. This is about 8 minutes. Be sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube page, because we will put the full Tony Stewart interview up on our YouTube page to where you can see warts and all with yours truly and Tony Stewart. But here's a taste of Tony talking about what his son means to him on the racetrack, talking about how this Top Fuel win is right up there with his NASCAR championship and that Homestead race where he clinched it. Well, he didn't clinch it. He tied it, but I don't want to give it away. 8 good minutes of smoke. Friend of the Freak Nation here, Lucas Oil Studios. Hey, Tony, there are a number of drivers that have come through the Freak Nation, funny car drivers specifically. Robert Height was one of them, that they don't like the 4-wide nationals. They think it's kind of gimmicky. But from what I hear from you, you're loving these 4 wides. Where's the chasm
I don't know
there?
if he said love.
Okay, well, you enjoy the 4 wides.
He's right. I do love it. It's I think for me, it reminds me of short track racing. It's like going to a sprint car race, and you don't have to win the heat race. You just got to finish, in the top 3 or 4 spots to transfer. So for us in drag racing, the 4-wide races, you don't have to win your quad. You just got to finish in the top 2 to go to the next round. Second round, you got to finish in the top 2 to get to the finals. And then in the finals, you're racing for the money. But I think a lot of times, for a lot of the drivers that don't like it, and at first I think they thought it was gimmicky. I mean, now we got 3 races on the schedule this year. Both of the Charlotte races are 4-wide events, and one of those is in the countdown in the fall. So they're going to pay more attention to these 4-wides, obviously. But I think a lot of times, they're so disciplined in drag racing about the routine and their procedures and how they stage and everything that they do, and it's just one versus another. But now you throw a 4-wide in there, now it's somewhat chaotic, because it's chaotic for the tuners and the crew chiefs when they're up there staging you and making the final adjustment to get you in there. And then for the drivers, now you've got to pay even extra attention to what lane you're in. If you're in lane 1 and lane 4, it's a lot easier because you're looking at the far left or far right bulb. Those drivers in lanes 2 and 3 have to be on top of it. And it sounds so easy to sit there and go, well, you're in lane 2, just look at the lane 2 bulb. It's the second one from the left. If you're in lane 3, it's the third one from the left. It's not that hard, but there's so much going on up there. And you're thinking about the cadence of the procedure because you're burning fuel, which is taking nose weight off the car. There's so many variables that the fans don't think about. But I think that's why the drivers not all of them embrace it. There's a lot of them that don't like it because it's just more chaotic with the staging and the lights. But and the reality of it too is, it's one less round to get to the finals. But when you get to the finals, it's not just one guy you got to beat 3 guys to win the race. And I'm sure that's part of the reason they don't like it as well.
With all the emotion that has gone on with this win, your first NHRA Top Fuel win, is this the most emotional experience you've had in motorsports? And if not, what kind of came close to this?
I think it does, but for different reasons. I mean, there were a lot of reasons Sunday. I mean, obviously, having one of our sponsors that's a close personal friend of mine to lose his wife the week of the race last week. And then literally 15 minutes before we rolled up for the finals, one of my best friends in Bakersfield, California, sent me a text message that his father passed away. And, to sit there and have to focus and go do your job. And, you win the race, and the immediate celebration, you're thinking about the win and what it means to you and what it means to the team and the sport and everything about it. And then by the time you get down and you're doing that second stage appearance where, the fans are coming around and Leah comes up with Dom, you're thinking about, oh my gosh, my family, this isn't about me, and it's not just about the team. It's now my first experience outside of Leah and I, of us having a family, and she brings Dom up there and losing it, and then going to do the photos with the team and the car, and Dad and my wife and Dom are there, and just the whole family atmosphere of it. It just kept changing perspectives. But it's just crazy how, it was very special just for very different reasons than before. I still think the 2011 NASCAR Cup Championship and the USAC Triple Crown, the night that we secured the Triple Crown in USAC, those two events with the Homestead race and that are hard to beat. They're just extremely hard to beat. Everything it took to run three different classes all year and race for 3 national championships and win all 3 of those was unreal. And then the drama and the challenge to win that race at Homestead. I mean, there was enough drama in that Homestead race for 5 races. And it all happens in one race, and literally win the race. Carl runs second. We tie in the points, and we win it on a tiebreaker because of the events that we won in the playoffs. So
right.
It's hard to beat those two, but this one had that same level of intensity, but just for way different reasons.
One last thing, maybe, is
maybe.
Maybe. You're saying it without saying it, Tony. You're at an age, I'm at an age now where we lie in bed and we think about things we didn't think about 20 years ago. And I know it's the wife of the owner of Roush that passed away, right?
Yep.
Your friend passes away. John Edwards passes away. I think of our friendships throughout the last 25 years of doing SpeedFreaks, of individuals that are gone. And when I see Mike Arning next time, I'm going to hug him, I'm going to hug the son of a bitch. But once I get up and I see that 11-year-old, it's like, thank God I've got that little kid to hang my day on, because I think horrible thoughts before I go to sleep, man.
Well, I even joke around and tell people I'm going to have to put Dominic on salary with the race team. They're like, well, he can't do anything. I'm like, well, he kind of does. I mean, we went to Bradenton for the pro event earlier this year, and we made 14 runs over the course of the 5 days. I mean, the first 2.5 days of testing, and then the last 2.5 days of the event, made 14 runs, and it made it down the racetrack, 2 full runs and 1 planned shutoff run where we shut it off early. The rest of them were all aborted runs. And we had a little bit of a break and had enough time. I was done with my work. I said, I'm going to go back to the motorhome real quick and grab a sandwich. And I went back there, and I went in the front door, and he was in his bassinet right at the top of the steps. And I remember looking over there, and I was so frustrated and so mad. And I'm like, I don't know what to do to fix this. And I looked down in there, and he rolled his head over and looked up and just smiled. And I forgot about the run that we just had and forgot how frustrated I was. And it's like, so when somebody says, what do you mean he needs to have a salary? I'm like, he's the emotional support human on this race team.
Yes.
It is so different. Other forms of motorsports, like I said, you got multiple laps to get where you need to be and where you want to be. Drag racing, it's one and done. You make a mistake, or somebody makes a mistake, or it just isn't tuned right, you're done. And so the intensities, I feel like in certain areas, is a lot higher in drag racing. And when it's not going right, as a driver, I can't fix it. I can't change how I drive the car to make it react different. That's not how drag racing works. So you kind of feel helpless as a driver of not being able to help fix it, because I don't have the knowledge, and I'm not smart enough to know how to tune a top fuel car. But being able to go there and see Dominic, and for him to look at me, and it hits a reset button in your brain for him to do that, he's going to be a valuable asset to this team all year. Because there's going to be weekends where it's not going right, and you're going to go back there and you're going to see him, and you're going to come back to that pit. And I remember when I did that at Bradenton, I went back to the pit area, and they knew I was pissed when I left. They knew I was really mad, really frustrated. And when I came back, everybody was on edge, and I came back and I was relaxed and I had a smile on my face, and some of them thought something fishy's going on. But when I told them where I went and what happened, and they saw that, it's like, wow. And the whole demeanor of the team changed, and they got their heads up again, and we still just went through the work and kept doing our deal. And it still was a bad week, but my demeanor changed their demeanor as well. So I feel like having him there at the racetrack, that's what we dreamed of for Lee and I. We dreamed of having him at the track with us because we want our family with us.
Freak Nation, there is about another 30 minutes of that interview with Tony Stewart that we will put up on our YouTube page. Be sure you subscribe to Official Speed Freaks. Like this video. And again, you'll get reminders when we post new material, new content up on the YouTube page, Crasher.
Oh yeah, you say you might air all 40 minutes of it. There's maybe non-airable parts in there, but yeah. Tony is just, man, he's just real. He embraces every aspect of the sport, but he embraces, as he's gotten older, he's embraced just more aspects of life in general. And it's just been fun to follow, fun to watch, and just, yeah, this seeing him in his dad era, so to speak, is massive.
It's interesting with Richard C. and Cole Cusimano, who were younger individuals when Tony Stewart was kicking ass in the Cup Series. And Tony Stewart rubbed a lot of people wrong. And then very similar to what Kyle Busch has done over the last 20 years in NASCAR. You love him or you hate him. But this is a side of Tony Stewart that, listen, if you hate this side of Tony Stewart, get out of here. I agree. There might have been some things he's done and said in the past that kind of like grate on you. But at 53 years old with the father of a 5-month-old, it's a life changer. Daytona 500 win, you win that, or Indy 500, one of the bigger races. That's a game changer, but life changes when your best friend blasts out a little baby Bambino and it's over.
Your best friend blasts out a baby Bambino. Wow. That phrase didn't have on my 2025 bingo card.
I want to see YouTube translate that.
Say that 5 times fast and go.
Yeah.
One other thing, Cole, you can comment here in a second, but one other thing, I asked Tony if this win was bigger for Leah Pruitt than Tony Stewart. I'm not going to give away the answer. You don't know his answer. It's a great answer. And hearing it from Tony just solidifies why I asked that question. Again, we'll let you know, Freak Nation. Be sure you follow us on YouTube when we put up the full Tony Stewart, Cole.
Mm-hmm. Now, I love seeing this side of Tony, and I think that's one thing I've always admired about him is that he's always been very blunt, no matter what form of racing he's doing. But to see him more open and just opening up to like his personal life and all that stuff and how important his family is, it really hits home because I'm a big family guy, obviously. So it again comes down to bringing the driver down to the human element and sharing that character and that personality that Tony Stewart really is, and just how important family is and how that's impacted his racing career. It's cool.
Freak Nation, we are celebrating 25 years of Speed Freaks this year. If you're not familiar with Speed Freaks, who's calling me right now? I don't need to talk to you. Oh, man, that would be a good call to take right now.
Oh, Kenny did that on The Daily Show. Do you remember that, Richie? On our stick and ball show, where somebody would call Kenny and he would put he would put his phone up to the microphone and it would be like a spam call. And he would say the most ridiculous things
awesome.
Like, I got my catheter in. Hang on a second. Or it's just something like that.
Glad you remembered that. Celebrating 25 years. Started on one radio station in Los Angeles. Well, it was a huge station, 97.1. It was the Howard Stern station in LA.
It was a burner.
We're on 1 hour, and then we went to 2 hours, and then we went to Detroit, Dallas, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and then we're on dozens of stations across the country. Still on dozens of stations across the country, and now every other freaking media outlet that you can imagine, including Racer Network. Mondays, 12 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. But as we celebrate 25 years, we're going to go freaking flashbacks. 2005, Jack Roush in Grand Prairie, Texas, prior to the Cup race that weekend. And in this interview, he talks about the current drivers that he's running with and drivers are running with Roush not Roush Fenway.
No, that was just Roush Racing.
This was just Roush Racing at the time.
Yes.
Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and more. It's good 4.5 minutes with the cat in the hat. Yours truly,
Soon
Lucas
to
Oil
celebrate
Studio.
a birthday.
Let's go inside the freaking ride with Kenny Sargent.
Jack Roush, inside the ride with SpeedFreaks. And Jack, when I rolled into Grand Prairie Ford, first thing out of your mouth, you said, I heard that some radical group was coming here to interview me. And who were you thinking of?
Well, I was thinking of you, but I thought there would be no way that you'd be here this evening in Granbury Ford. That really surprised me, but I was thinking of you.
Brilliant.
Let's do some word association before you get the hell out of here. Kurt Busch. A little Jack Roush.
Touchy.
Matt Kenseth.
Matt Kenseth, he's solid.
Greg Biffle.
Greg Biffle is mean.
Carl freaking Edwards.
He's a gymnast. You know, I tell you a Carl Edwards story. You know,
It's a 30-minute show, Jack.
I understand. I'll only take 31 minutes. But we're at Las Vegas, and Mark has just won the Busch race on Saturday, and Carl has finished second. He led and had the best car, and he had a flat tire. And Mark said, or they asked Mark. One of the questions they said, Mark and I are both up in the media center, and they says, okay, what did Carl say? What do you think Carl felt whenever he would have his flat tire and you won a race? And Mark says, well, he's a young man. He's going to win a lot of races. I've lost my races from flat tires, and he's going to lose. That's not the last one he's going to lose, but he said he's going to lose lots of them. He says, I don't have many opportunities left. I'll keep this one. He'll get his later. And they asked me, he says, what do you think he thought? I said, well, I can't tell you for sure what he thought. I got a sense that it would be censored. But I can tell you this. I said, whatever he was thinking, he was smiling like a Cheshire cat. And I said, the fact that cat's smiling, I said, it doesn't mean that you can pet him on the back. I said, you should stay away from him. I said, there's two drivers in the garage area right now that drive these cars, have been driving them for years, that have had confrontations with him, and they've understood for sure that in spite of the fact he was smiling and talking to him about something that was between them, it didn't mean that they could touch him on the back right now.
So Carl Edwards is a hell of a driver, but he's a badass. You don't want to mess with him, right?
Carl, one driver in particular, gave Carl the finger, and that happened during the middle of a race. And at the end of the race, he bounced right up in the trailer, and he said, "Look, Mister," and I'm not going to say who it is, but the driver was a driver that you wouldn't think of that somebody would necessarily take on. He bounced in there. He told him, he says, "Look," he says, "if you thought today that I was trying to hold you up," he says, "I apologize. I'm just a rookie." I says, "I'm proud to be here. I'm trying to learn from all you guys." I said, "I'll get out of your way as soon as I see you there." I said, "I wasn't trying to hold you up. And if you think in the future, if you think that I'm trying to hold you up, as soon as I see you, I'll get out of the way. It's not intentional." But he said, on the other hand, and he was smiling, on the other hand, if you give me the finger again, I will whip your ass. And he will. And they believe it.
One name that we haven't brought up, man, and again, it's a 30-minute show, Jack Roush, Mark Martin.
Oh, Mark Martin is the man. You know, everything that you could say about a race car driver, you got to say about Mark Martin. You know, I'll just go back to some of my roots. You know, it isn't the size of the dog that determines the fight, but it's the size of the fight in the dog. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of fight in that little dog. He can do it.
Would Jack Roush be sitting on this table next to Kenny Sargent with SpeedFreaks with 2 championships on his fingers? And I see you got those snappy coins in your pocket there, which I don't have. Would you be sitting on this table if Mark Martin was not a part of your life?
If Mark Martin had left me in 1989, which was the first time he got a little frustrated with me because of my own ineptitude and what my program was doing and some of his problems at the time. If we had not fixed that and moved on, I'm sure that I wouldn't be sitting with 5 teams right now facing off against the best in stock car racing.
One last word. Look in that camera. Tell everybody about SpeedFreaks.
SpeedFreaks are cool. They're in the air. They're everywhere. Kenny.
I'm Kenny Sargent. This is Jack Roush. Say bye, Jack.
Goodbye.
Oh,
Jack Roush turns 83 on Saturday, Freak Nation.
wow.
We haven't seen a whole lot about Jack Roush. Last year, I saw him at the track. I don't need to say a whole lot about Jack Roush right now. There are some things that I know, but I don't need to say. But the innovations that man brought to motorsports. Recently, he was inducted into the Trans Am Hall of Fame. He won crazy championships with some names that you guys know. In Trans Am, I think Dallenbach was one, Willie T. Ribbs, Greg Pickett, Wally Dallenbach, Scott Pruitt crasher in 87, I think. Dorsey Schrader.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Those are Trans Am championships.
You could go through names in Formula One, drag racing, NASCAR. You just did Trans Am. Jack Roush has put his fingerprints in so many aspects of motorsports, and a lot of people still don't know that. But yeah, he's not just a NASCAR guy. He's everywhere. And of course, we were sitting in that interview. We were in a dealership. I mean, his fingerprints on cars on the street are everywhere as well. So yeah, cool dude.
He won championships. Dig this, man. In 83, all right, you said at 83 in the Roush Protofab Mercury Capri.
Wow.
Winning 11 times in 84 with Tom Gloy and fellow inductees Greg Pickett and Litty Ribbs, while also taking the top 3 spots in the standings and giving Mercury the manufacturer's crown.
Mercury would, wow.
Won a championship with Tommy Kendall. What's all these names? See that freaking Mount Freakmore?
Yeah, can we do that again?
I have the graphic ready, by the way. I think we might do that. I'll put it out and put the poll out.
Okay.
Since we're off this weekend for Easter.
Oh.
And we'll finally get the results. So Cole can put on his New England Patriots onesie or whatever it was.
Luchador
mask.
The onesie would be funnier.
Please no.
We can go back to a mankini.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather do that.
Mankini.
I'll wear a mankini, but I won't wear a Patriots mankini. I would.
Oh my God!
I would do that.
You don't say that around
I hate the Patriots.
in the Free Nation.
I hate the Patriots that much. I despise that entire organization.
All right, that's going to be our tease for moving forward. I will wear a mankini. That's it.
Oh, come on.
That's Cole's we used to play drops on the show. Kenny would love his drops. We don't do it as anymore because of our tech. But I had like probably 2 dozen built up in 2 years. So I had so damn many, and that's Cole's first drop right there.
I'll be coming back. Mankini with Cole.
Who's laughing now? Not this guy.
We got the outro ready to roll. You guys ready to roll with that outro?
We need to mention something real quick that Cody brought up to us before the show.
Yep. Yes.
You were just talking to Tony Stewart about having lost people far too early, right? And one of those people, as Cody brought up to this week, was Steve Byrnes. We are coming up on the 10th anniversary of his passing way too early. Of course, long-time NASCAR on Fox personality, really one of the faces and voices of NASCAR in the early 2000s. I know when I started watching NASCAR, I loved watching like NASCAR Race Day. It was Steve Byrnes and Kenny Wallace, and they just had the most fun on that show. And so I know when he passed away, I was still watching NASCAR at the time, and it was a tough loss for the sport. So I don't know if you guys have any Steve Byrnes stories you want to tell coming up on the 10th anniversary of his death. But
traveling to one of the NASCAR races early on in SpeedFreaks tenure, SpeedFreaks, we rebelled against cats like Byrnes. We were the other guys. We didn't wear pink shirts, sports coats, ties, slacks in the pits. We wore baggy, whatever. We just were not that. So we kind of gave off the air of, screw the corp. We weren't going to be a part of that kind of business. But there was one time I was walking back to my coach seat and walking by first class, and he was sitting second, third row in first class, and stopped me and said, "Hey, you're Kenny Sargent with SpeedFreaks. How you doing? Steve Byrnes with Fox NASCAR." And it was a brief conversation. My opinion changed of Steve Byrnes and those other individuals at that moment when he stopped this D-bag of SpeedFreaks going back to my coach seat just to say hello and introduce himself. It was talk about feeling a little shameful at the time. I mean, that was a man that introduced himself. That didn't have he could just dropped his head there in first class and let me walk on by with my baggy ass clothes in 2002.
And your mullet.
And I don't know if
not at that
that's
time.
the thing about SpeedFreaks, man. 25 years of us. I've had more changes in my hair than most people do in a lifetime.
I would agree.
You saw the hairdo with freaking Roush, whatever the hell that was.
It was short.
It's like a freaking bob or something. Anyway, Steve Byrnes. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for bringing that up, Richard C. All right, Freak Nation, don't forget, every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. and of course on the Freak Radio Network. Then again on Mondays, 12 o'clock Eastern and Pacific on Racer Network. We'll have a best of sorts running this Sunday night. And then Horsepower Hump Day every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Happy Easter, everybody out there. We're going to enjoy our time off. Hopefully you will as well. And then we got Talladega, baby. All right. Later.